Easy now. Papa got things making hands like
come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finna change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you plenty of fences.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys know where to follow me on whatever that app is that Elon Musk is in control of right now. My ad name has not changed on there, at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Appreciate the love and support for everyone who is either listening or watching on our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man to Man. That's man, the number 2 man is the name of the channel. Thank you for all of the love there, whether it's on our post-game show or if it's on our special Standout Plays of the Week episode. That's up now. Week 14 is up. Thank you so much for all of that love. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206.
All right.
Thank you. Man?
Thank you to Drew Lock, man. Thank you to Drew Lock and Julian Love for one thing in particular, selfishly that is associated with this podcast. Every time we post a show, we have a thumbnail for the YouTube clip that I also share on our social media, and it's always Chris and I smiling. And when they lose, it just makes us look like jerks because it looks like we are smiling at their demise. And then I just don't want us to frown, so because that would also look weird. But now when they win a game, as they did in the Monday Night Football, beating the Eagles 20-17, snapping a 4-game losing streak, getting to 7-7, right there in the thick of things with all the other 7-7 teams that are fighting for those final 2 wildcard spots in the NFC. As they get that win, Chris, we no longer look like jerks. We look like our energy is being matched by the team because for about a month there, we look like jerks. And now, Chris, because Drew Lock had the game of his professional life, I don't know if he had a better one in Mizzou, but he had the game of his professional life. And because Julian Love morphed into Ed Reed for a night, we are smiling in our thumbnail, looking good, matching the energy of a team that got easily its biggest win of the season in primetime.
1,000%. And it's good for the team. It's good for the morale. These guys believe they can make a push now. The good news is they beat an NFC team, so that helps them in this regard because had they lost this game, it's over. There's nothing really they can do because they're last. No, for real. I mean, they might lose the Cardinals at that rate. You know, losing 5 straight. I don't know how tough that could be. I'm just trying to think. How many times have I done something negatively 5 straight times? I don't know. Like, that's tough to do. And to be a professional athlete and you have 5 straight L's, I just could imagine the locker room being toxic. It's just being more of a funk. And now you're traveling to Tennessee against a team that's also struggling. And your playoff hopes are pretty much none at that point. This one was huge. And to do it with Drew Lock, the backup, who didn't find out until a couple of minutes before the game, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken. So even then, there wasn't certainty about who is playing on Monday Night Football. So for Drew to step up and go out there, even when things were looking as if the game may be over or he's not going to be able to do it, Drew comes in at the right time, makes the right play, makes the right read, and leads the Seahawks in crunch time to victory. The defense, they were able to not give up points late in the game. They held their own. Eagles didn't score in the 4th quarter. That's hard to do. And they made it look very easy. Now, sure, Jalen Hurts made a couple of terrible throws, but has a lot to do with that pass rush and the defense. They were chasing them around. They didn't really do a great job stuffing the run, but the Eagles didn't continue running. They tried to throw it through the air. So big bounce back win for the Seahawks. And again, I think this gives them ammunition moving forward that they can get in. Anything's possible. Now, that's where, Mike and I give you some reality check, but we're not here to do that tonight because they were able to hold off a team that was in the Super Bowl just 11 months ago. Obviously, it's not the same team, but the Seahawks were able to get it done. And with their backs against the wall, at home, they put up and they showed out and they put forth a really good effort against a solid team that had their issues and struggles, but the Seahawks were able to edge it out.
Yeah, I think before we get to Drew, shout out to Chris for making me roll with the title we're using, just how they drew it up. Thought about that on my drive home. Wasn't sure about it, but yeah, Chris was like, let's roll with it. That's good. Good call. Good call there. Before we get to Drew, I do think, the magnitude of the win and what it does for morale is very important. And it's something I have been keeping my eye on. I might have even mentioned it on our last show. You can't, not to say you can't, but it's very hard to do all of the things wrong that you have to do to lose 5 straight and then just magically turn it on in the final 3 games of the season. I never really thought that was like a viable thing. And that was kind of what was predicted. You know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, if they fall to 6-8, they can just win their last 3. They'll probably be favored against Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona. Just win those last 3, get to 9-8. And I'm just like, God, it's not that simple. We're dealing with humans. We're dealing with humans with emotions and egos and guys who have different varying levels of accountability. It's like, you can't just blow that Rams game the way they did, blow the Niners, get blown out on Thanksgiving, fail to execute in the Dallas game, giving up a bazillion points, forcing no punts, then not get it done against the Niners again, and then go lose on Monday Night Football. And then it's like, well, we got Tennessee coming up. Let's beat Pittsburgh. That's just hard. Even if Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona are all winnable games, it's just hard mentally to do that. It's hard to trust the process. Not to say that they full on would have fallen off a cliff per se, but it would have been far more. They would have been right there on the edge of that cliff, hanging on like Paul Walker in whatever Fast movie where he jumps off the train or the bus. Or I think that's like Fast 7. Yeah, it's Fast 7. That's the last one he's in. Like, they would have been hanging real close by a thread. That's just so tough to blow all those games. And particularly if they'd have lost this one like close, and it's like, dang, we just can't finish. It would have been really hard, I think, for guys to not point fingers, for guys to question parts of the process, where they did it openly. Not to say there would have been a bunch of infighting, but even just internally, if you're just like, man, sitting in the back of the meeting room, like, our coach don't know what he's talking about. That didn't work 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just all that stuff can creep in, all that doubt can creep in. And it's hard for Pete Carroll to just come in there optimistic every week. But it's like, damn, we done lost 5 straight. But we're about to get this one, y'all. You know what I mean? It's just it's hard. It's hard to do that. Not to say it's impossible, but I feel like that would have been much harder than people were just giving it credit for, because they would just had 3 easy games after this. It's like, nah, man. You can lose 5 straight. You probably can lose to anybody. And that's how the wheels start to fall off. And you see some teams have those issues. Like, it's not totally the same, but look at the Eagles. The Eagles are 10. They came into this game 10-3 and felt super dysfunctional. A.J. Brown had to go defend himself for an anonymous quote that he may or may not have said. Like, he gathered reporters up and was like, hey, y'all, that anonymous quote floating around about the offense, just want to make things clear. That was not me. Like that. They're 10-3. You shouldn't have to do that. Coach Sirianni was asked this week, like, yo, y'all going to make any change at coordinators? He was like, yo, we 10-3. I believe in our guys. And what they do, basically fired Sean Desai without taking his key card. The DBs had to take over the scouting report, this week from the coaching staff because they had been that bad. You know what I mean? Like, they got all that dysfunction and they just lost 2 in a row. Go look at the Jets. The Jets, Robert Saleh lost their locker room. And there's plenty of other teams that are dysfunctional. Look at the Commanders. Like, there's all these teams falling apart, right? Like, whether they're still mathematically in it or not, we see what falling apart looks like, and losing 5 straight is how you do that. So to win this game, that is so freaking huge. And then, Chris, it's not just the winning. It's how they won. They did all the things that they weren't doing before. Like, legitimately, like, damn near all of the things they weren't doing before, with the exception of like improving their third down defense. That was like the one thing that remained constantly an issue. And the Eagles today were like 9 of 16, which is pretty bad. If you're a 9 of 16 every week, you will be easily the best third down offense in the league. Like, I'm telling you, by a lot. So you can't do that. That's where they fell off. But Chris, everywhere else, they hadn't been running the ball consistently. I think, you're a much bigger Madden player than me. But I used to play back in the day. That third quarter was Shane Waldron just like it was like you can ask the coach, you can ask Madden to tell you what play to run, and Madden just kept saying, "Hey, just press circle, and we just gonna run or whatever." I don't know the buttons no more. I'm old, but just the same play over and over. Ken Walker run, Ken Walker run, Ken Walker run, Ken Walker run. And it was beautiful, and it worked, and it gave their defense a rest, and stuff they just hadn't been doing before. What else they do to it? Just finishing the game. Like their defense couldn't get off the field. In the past few games they were blowing. And like you said, Chris, the Eagles just scored in the fourth quarter. How about this? Put that more in perspective. The Eagles had 3 drives in the fourth quarter. Only ran one play on Seattle's side of the field. One. You know what that play was? The interception. The first interception, that is. So they damn near couldn't even get across midfield in the fourth quarter. This is a team we just saw getting carved up the last few weeks on defense, particularly in the fourth quarter. What they do? Stand tall. What does the offense do? Execute. What's the defense do? Not have no stupid penalties, no illegal hands to the face or nothing to negate getting off the field on third down, no dumb penalties on offense, illegal man downfield, no nothing crazy. They just executed quite literally everything they had not been doing for a month. And that's huge too, because if they kept sucking in all of those areas, even if they had won, honestly, if they had kept sucking in all those areas and then won off some fluky stuff, it still would have been hard to buy in to some of the messaging. But they played a really clean game, and they fixed so much of what was wrong. We can get into why that some of that stuff got fixed, but just fixing it so huge. So it's gonna make the meeting rooms make way much more sense. It's gonna make practice feel that much easier. That like, yo, we actually finally fixed all this crap. We know how to finish a game on both sides of the ball. Like it was just. They got the turnovers they needed. Didn't turn the ball over. Whew. Like, yeah, Chris, the way they got it, and we've used this analogy on the show before, but it's like the final 2 scenes in each of the Bad Boy movies. The first one, Will Smith tells Martin's like, "That's how you drive. From now on, that's how you drive." Same thing in the second one. He's like, "That's how you're supposed to shoot." This was that. Like Pete Carroll, all he needs to do in the meeting room Tuesday morning is go in there and be like, "From now on, that's how we play." And they're like, "Yeah, coach, you're right." Because I don't know if that message can hit if they don't win the game the way they did. So I thought that was really important as well.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, "Oh, the Seahawks going to win this game. Oh, they could win this game. Oh, they should win this game. They should be in it." That's 4 straight games where they could win the game. They should win the game. They're right there. And you get to a 5th one. I feel bad for the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, they won on Sunday against the Falcons, but to that point, them fools was 1-10. I can only imagine what that. Mike, they have 2 wins on the season right now. They beat the Falcons 9-6.
Oh man, let me see what so the Panthers had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had lost 6 straight before beating the Falcons. Wow, I hadn't been paying attention. Jesus.
Oh, I just remember seeing that. I'm thinking, what do you say in the locker room? What do you say to your guys? We're going to get back to the film and we're going to see what we did wrong.
Fired their coach, so at least it's a new voice.
So even then, it's you look around the league and you say, "Damn, it's bad over there." And you're looking at the Seahawks like, "Ooh, they're getting to that point." But what do? They get ready. They get prepared. The messaging is not getting stale. It's not getting old because guess what they do? They go out there and they look like the Seahawks that we're used to seeing. Teams that execute. They can run the football. Although a couple of times Ken Walker, God bless him, because he made the light-skinned brother on the Eagles look like he might not have a job come Tuesday morning.
Oh, Sidney Brown at number 21? Oh my God. He had a bad day.
Man. Ken Walker was like, "Yeah, we're not going to have you in the league much longer," because he just could not tackle my man. But that's what Ken Walker brings to the game. He is physical. He can make you miss. And if things aren't going, if blocks are missed and guys are in the backfield or they're blitzing, whatever the case may be, Ken can make up for that. You don't want to see that as often, but in a game where the Seahawks needed the win, Ken needed to do that, and he was successful, and that was part of the reason why the Seahawks won. Hell, we saw Drew Lock on a run, the touchdown that Ken scored on. You see Drew Lock lead blocking. What more could you ask for? This team wanted it.
Seeing that.
They believe that they can get it done. They were excited for this opportunity. I know Pete always talks about, I feel as if he said this the last 4 weeks. We got a big opportunity here, guys. This is a big one. He said that the last month. And you know what? The Seahawks, for real, the Seahawks heard it, and they knew this was opportunity. Monday Night Football. They flexed this game to Monday night. This game's supposed to start at 1 o'clock. But they said, nah, this is a big matchup. Geno was supposed to play. Obviously, he's banged up, groin injury, but they figured that Jalen would have a flu-like game, and boy, did he not. He had a flu game, but it was in the bad sense. Throwing picks everywhere.
Game. It's the COVID game. It's not a flu. It's COVID game.
But the expectations for this game were high, and Drew filled right in. He delivered in the waning moments on the biggest stage for him, that is, and was able to walk out victorious. And the confidence for him, the team, not only do they say they believe in him, they can now witness it and go back to the film and say, he did it. We have proof of it. So if anything goes wrong, if Geno's not available, we are 1,000% riding with Drew because we are confident in him, and that's what it takes. And he delivered. Pete Carroll, he's the same guy that told us it's 2A and 2B, or 1A and 1B with the quarterback situation. Whether that's true or not, it is what it is. Drew proved it on Monday Night Football that he is right there with Geno. Led them to a game-winning drive. He had 3 game-winning drives in his career. Now he has 4. So as you can see, just how they drew it up, that was something that Shane believed that he can do. Pete believed it. The defense got him an opportunity, and he delivers.
Yeah, I think to stay with Drew, what stood out to me tonight is how big it was that this was a real team effort. And I say team effort in the sense that Drew Lock is a very confident guy. You can kind of tell how he carries himself, even if you're not around Drew as often as like I am, as someone who's in the locker room every week, multiple days a week. You can just kind of feel it when Drew talks, and kind of just his overall aura. You can tell he plays like a confident guy. Like sometimes he throws the ball like, "Ooh, you thought you could get that there, huh? Confident cat." You know what I'm saying? He has a swag of a confident cat. Even when he's on the sideline, like if you go to your phone right now and you go to like you're gonna send a little GIF or GIF or whatever to somebody, you just type in Drew Lock. Everyone that pops up, he look confident. That's kind of how he is. However, I feel like everyone felt like it was important to remind him of that. And that's cool. That's a cool thing to see. Like Pete Carroll's always been that. Pete Carroll, like you said, been telling us the whole time. I remember asking Pete in March, like March 16th, I think 2022, do you think you can win a championship with Drew Lock? And he was like, yeah. I remember tweeting that out, and the clip went out, and everybody was like, this old man needs to be taken out back. What? Like it was perceived as a crazy statement. Probably is a little crazy, but still, he believed. That was the point. So he's always felt that. And then you look at what happened on. How do I want to start this? Like even DK, I love the little nugget that Drew Lock gave after the game. He mentioned that he threw a ball low and outside to DK in the red zone, and it hits I got that as a drop. But either way, Drew didn't like the placement of the ball. Keely Ringo ends up punching it out. Drew goes up to DK, after that, he's like, hey, my bad. And DK, according to Drew, says, dude, quit apologizing to me. Just like go out there and play. And Drew was like, you know what? You're right. And go out there, we're going to ball. You're right. Because DK knows. It's like, well, Drew, you can play. My bad. Just play. Just be you. Remember, Chris, DK had a tweet like, no Drew Lock slander. This was like what, right after the trade, like a month after the trade. Like he's always believed in Drew, but it was nice to that's what Drew needed to hear in that moment. Like, dog, shut up, ball. That's it. And then before the game winning drive, according to Drew, Geno came up to him and just gave him words of encouragement. He was like, you're the best in the world. You're about to lead us down the field right now. You got this. Like that's you think about that. Geno Smith, how pissed he probably is not to be playing in this moment. Pissed. We know Geno, competitive cat, but he still had the wherewithal to be like, who needs me right now? Drew. So I'm about to go up here and tell Drew whatever he needs to hear. Like that scene. I remember the Titans when Brogo lied about how many brothers and sisters he had. I had 12 brothers and sisters. They all was counting on me. I was the youngest of all of them. They all looking up to me. And then he goes on the field, and then the coach is like, yeah, 12 brothers and sisters? He was like, I had 8. He's like, you're right. 12 sound better. But it was, I forget who he was talking to, but that was whoever Drew, Denzel was talking to. He knew that's what he needed to hear in that moment, and Geno did that. And even Shane Waldron on the final play. And Chris, let's go to the video on this one. We'll talk about this final sequence here, which is, I loved this. So we got 3rd and 9 here. I know you guys are listening, can't see, but it's 3rd and 9. It was the first third down of the game. DK Metcalf comes in motion, so it lets the offense know, oh, hey, we're getting man right here. It's to the far side of the field. That's where the play is supposed to go because it's DK Metcalf. Why not? 1-on-1 in the slot. Duh. So you can go ahead and run it. Chris, you guys probably remember the first play or the first third down. DK basically just bench presses the corner, but he ends up catching a slant short of the sticks, right? But if what you can see here at the top of the screen is you got Jackson Smith and Jigba 1-on-1 with Tacoma native Kelee Ringo, and he wins off the line. The ball doesn't go there because the ball's supposed to go to DK. And Drew Lock didn't want to just freelance on the first third down of the game. Smart by him. Just run the plays as called. But Shane Waldron saw that and he was like, wait a minute. If we get that again, we might have to go back to that. So what do you know? Go to we get to the final play, the final offensive play of the game. So they get 3rd and 10. So we get about the same down and distance. And you get another man look. And at the top of the screen, you get Jackson Smith and Jigba 1-on-1 once again, this time with James Bradbury instead of a rookie. But it doesn't really matter. The point is you trust Jackson Smith and Jigba to win 1-on-1. And prior to that play, after they break the huddle, Shane reminds Locke, because he has confidence in his guy. He's like, yo, you the man, you got this. But just so you know, we running this play again. And if Jackson Smith and Jigba is 1-on-1, go ahead and let that thing fly to him. Shane telling him that, knowing, and you can do this. You can let this thing fly, and you can get that ball there. And then Drew throws it on a line. JSN catches the ball with he catches the back of the football, which is crazy. You almost never see that done that way. Poor James Bradbury had a rough night. But I just love that from Shane. So between all those, think of all these important people that we have. I could watch that play all day, but think of all the important people that we have in this situation. We got Pete Carroll believing in Drew. You got DK believing in Drew. You got Geno believing in Drew. You got the play caller believing in Drew. That's important because Drew is human at the end of the day. As confident as he is, and much rap music as he can recite on the sidelines, sometimes you just need other people to reinforce that. Sometimes you just need to hear it at that moment or just feel it in that moment, and that's huge. That really is huge. So I was really happy for Drew in that regard. It sounds like Geno's going to play against Tennessee, so it's not like this would be like the springboard to Drew Lock saving the end of their season. But sometimes it's what you need, and it was cool that everyone chipped in different ways to contribute into making Drew, who admitted to needing to hear all that stuff, helping him out. Because it can get tough in them moments, dog. 92 yards, man. 92 yards with one timeout, and the reason they had one timeout was ridiculous. Jesus, Pete. But that was crazy. You just knew that timeouts were probably going to matter at the end. But anyway, 92 yards, one timeout. I got Drew Lock on the final drive going 5 of 10 for all 92. No run game. No bad throws, really. A couple grown men throws from DK. Let's stick with the video here, Chris. Can you give me the big ball from DK, man? I don't want to put it this way, but I feel like that final drive, I shouldn't say it this way, but I'm going to say it. This final drive from DK is why he can have as many temper tantrums as he wants. I'm going to just say it. That's for real. People keep asking us what they're going to do about DK. How big is the DK problem? Should we get rid of DK? He's toxic. All these flags, all these fights. I hear you guys. I do. But this stuff right here, why he can do what he wants, man. That's what, Chris, 3 catches on the final drive, 58 yards. All 3 catches were first downs, including this 34-yard beauty in double coverage that he goes and fights through, man, to give his backup quarterback a shot, and a huge one. Like this is a beauty of a moon ball. Protection was there. DK goes up and get it. Still not huge on DK doing the whole body catch thing. I'd rather see him go up there all hands. You might get cracked in the ribs. It's okay. Since he's already had a rib injury, though, maybe he's just like, nah, I ain't dealing with that. But great catch by him. And that's why you get a guy like that. Big moments, big dude. He's done this before. Yeah, you can have as many unsportsmanlike penalties, and you can fight Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. You can fight the boogeyman on the field if you're making plays like that, because that dude is a problem, man. So everyone just trusted in Drew, man. That was huge. I was glad that he was able to get that moment. On top of just how big the win was for the team, everyone kind of rallied around their guy but they didn't rally around him as like he was like a Make-A-Wish kid. They just rallied around him in the sense that like, bro, just be you and we'll go out there and win the game. Now, I hate when they do treating the guys like they need to be their hands held, the training wheels, it's like a little kid learning to swim for the first time. No, Drew's grown. He nice, but he those reminders that was cool, man. Good for Drew. Just how they drew it up, a really big moment for him, which he made a couple throws today late, Chris. We might not see Drew Lock in the Seahawks uniform in 2024. Somebody might call his agent and say, brother, come on down. I don't know which teams, but somebody might do it.
Yeah, he definitely put his resume out there. Again, as I mentioned earlier, on a big stage. And as you mentioned, going 92 yards, game-winning touchdown. And what I love most about the game winner is that's why the Seahawks took JSN. That's the second game-winning touchdown. Obviously, the first one, quick screen. That's cool and all. That's great. But in this scenario, Shane was, as you mentioned, damn. We ran that earlier to DK. And we could have got a first, but great tackle by the defender there. That's cool. But I like what I saw with JSN. Now, that's a lot of confidence in JSN because when you look at it off top, like before we didn't get the bet. Well, actually, you can see here, the DB is about 7-8 yards off. So he's giving cushion in this man. And JSN is still able to run up his toes. Basically, he closes the gap really fast. That's all I'm saying when I say run up his toes. He closes the gap really fast. And next thing you know, JSN's on his ass. And when he is sprinting full speed and you're trying to turn your hips and run with him, it's too late. And Drew is already getting ready to launch it. And you guys know what happens next. It's too late. It's touchdown. So it's a simple route that was ran, but JSN really ran to perfection. Because a lot of times DBs, they just end up running right with you. But this DB was slow on it. Maybe he didn't expect it to be a fade. He was expecting something else, a double move. Whatever it was, he wasn't prepared for. And the Seahawks hit it right on the money. The perfect call at the perfect time, game time. So just how they drew it up. But again, giving our flowers to Drew Lock, stepped in the heat of the moment and was prepared. No turnovers, managed the game very well, and led the Seahawks to victory. So without further ado, though, we got to get to our last segment, which is just give an opportunity for you guys to ask all the questions in the world that you might have about the game or the future of the Seahawks, whatever the case may be. And boy, do we have quite a few. We don't have a lot, which is, not the end of the world. Hell, Mike and I get to get out of here a little early. So, Mike, are you ready to get to these
it's already
questions?
after midnight. So, I'm cool with the being a little skim on questions. We got some good questions, but yeah, let's roll so I can get a little bit of sleep tonight.
I heard that. So we'll start off with Dave Sayers. Did Drew Lock and Julian Love save Pete's job?
Ooh, I like this, Dave. I like the framing of that question. This is one of those, how in the office where he I haven't seen The Office too much, but how he'll break the fourth wall and look into the camera. Yeah, I think so. I think if they lose that game, man, 5 straight, and another one lost in prime time, it gets dicey. What would have been really bad? I'm glad this didn't happen. If they'd have lost that game and time would have been not on their side somehow, not having that second timeout coming back to bite them, because that was just so classic Pete to just burn that and then lose it. So yeah, I think so. I don't have a ton of reporting behind that. I don't know what Jody Allen's thinking, but it just feels like that was the case, that Drew went in that, and Julian, like I said, just morphing into Ed Reed all of a sudden, which is I just can't. That's just incredible. Two incredible plays by J Love today. Him do those two playing like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a season saver. That's job saver. I mean, that's a lot of stuff I think that they did. It's not the end of it may not be a full-on death sentence if they lose close in that one, maybe, but the throws they made, the catches that they made, they being Drew, or they including Julian Love. Oh yeah. Because then look on the flip side. I mean, it's by this time that you guys are listening to this show, it's Tuesday morning. When you're done with this show, just peek around in Philly media. You know, Google some Philly radio people or some Philly beat writers or some Philly columnists. Boy, Nick Sirianni is probably over there getting barbecue, you know, and they have 10 wins because these primetime games, they magnify everything. They magnify the good, they magnify the bad. And if they magnify recurring bad, people get fired. You know, Sean Decided already lost his gig over there again of just losing 2 straight. So yeah, I think this probably saved a bunch of people's jobs, to be quite honest. Clint Hurts defense had one of its better days. The Eagles offense is a little bit of a funk, but still to not even let them get really across midfield in the fourth quarter, that's huge. That's huge. You know, that's incredible. So yeah, Dave. I think so. And think of the 2 people that are in the focus of that question. Did Drew Lock and Julian Love save peace? That's great. Not DK, not JSN, not Ken Walker, no, not Abe Lucas or nothing with a great, blocker. No, it was like, nah, man. Did Drew and J Love do? And the answer is, yeah, I think so.
This next one comes from Phil Birnbaum. Did Big Lock just clinch his roster spot for next season?
Yeah, like I alluded to earlier, I think he might have did the opposite. I think you're gonna get some teams calling to be like, "Yo, Drew, so you got some room for you on our band next year." You know, it's a movie quote for you guys. Yeah, I think so. I'd have to go through the league and see contract situations and everything to know which teams, but I think sort of similarly to what it's not entirely the same, but a bit similar to Baker Mayfield, who kind of I think put out good enough film to get another look in Los Angeles last year. Now look what he's getting in Tampa. I could see Drew perhaps getting another look, maybe in a quarterback competition. You know, maybe a team like Pittsburgh or something is like, all right, we're going to draft a guy or something, but the guy we draft, you compete with him, and then you compete with Kenny Pickett or something like that. Like, may the best man win type of situation. There's maybe some other quarterback situations that I can't think of right now, but I could see some like that. I don't know what the Commanders are going to do, for instance, or anything like that. So you got a few situations where I think Drew might have just played himself off of the Seahawks, unfortunately, for the Seahawks. But if he wants to come back, maybe now what you get is, now they're willing to pay a premium to keep him. Maybe I think Drew's like on the minimum or whatever. Maybe it costs him like double now, to be the backup, which, as we can see, is probably worth it, quietly, and we can discuss this more in the offseason. What this also might have done is prevented the Seahawks from using like a high-ish pick on a rookie quarterback. If you can get Drew back, and you're obviously going to keep Geno, and you already don't have a second-round pick, probably don't want to use a first-round pick on a quarterback. It's like, well, do we want to use like a third or a fourth or whatever? They got that extra third from Denver, but it's like, do we want to use that on a quarterback? And if so, how good is that quarterback that you take with pick 80 something or whatever? I don't know where they're picking in the third, but that might have just happened too, so there's a lot of ripples here to Drew playing well in that situation. Kudos to Drew also for just playing well, not knowing he was going to start until around kickoff. However, most backups are kind of prepared for that. Sometimes they don't feel like they're going to play at all, and then guy rolls his ankle and then you're in there. So this is actually more advanced notice than backups tend to usually get, but credit to him on that. But yeah, I think this might have actually done the opposite thing and might have played Drew off of the Seahawks to get him into a camp battle, somewhere where he gets a chance to kind of revamp his career the way that we've seen a guy like Baker do, or we've seen other highly drafted quarterbacks get the chance to do in the past.
This next one comes from _10. How good was the offensive line, and how do you think they'll shape up to finish the season?
Yeah, I thought they were really solid. I have to watch the film to really know, but just on the live watch and watching the few replays that I did before we started recording tonight, I thought in particular the tackles were really solid. I thought the tackles played really well. There was a couple of runs there too where I was just like, boy, look at 72. Look at 72 just moving cats. Look at 68. Man, I think Abe Lucas is their best lineman, by the way. I don't know if we've talked about that on the show or declared that or made that very clear. Let me make that very clear. Abe is their best offensive lineman. That was the case last year. It's the case this year. The unit just looks completely different with him in there. And having a reliable right tackle in today's game where so many teams put their best edge rusher over there on that side, it's just, incredible value on that. So yeah, I thought they were solid. Off the first watch, the only like concerning thing I saw was a lot of Anthony Bradford, not a lot, but the reps that Anthony Bradford lost looked pretty bad. I haven't watched the replays of them, but like live, I remember thinking, "Ooh man, 75, yikes!" I think one of those sacks, for instance, Drew has to step up because he's beat, I think, by Brandon Graham, whoever 55 is. He's beat by that dude, and then steps up, and then Fletcher Cox ends up getting a sack. And then one of them, I think the third down sack in the second half, Jalen Carter, dog. I know that looked crazy. Did they show that in slow-mo? The Jalen Carter play I'm thinking of?
Yeah, that was crazy.
They did.
Just
Dog.
swam right by him. I was like, damn,
Yo,
man.
Jalen Carter is no, that dude's he's real. He's a real deal. He is. They're probably happy with taking Spoon instead, which is fine, but clearly they could not have gone wrong with Jalen Carter or Spoon because they're both great young players. But that was the only thing I saw. I think I saw Evan Brownlee whiff like once or twice, maybe at least once. I think on that Fletcher Cox sack. But I think Drew only was sacked those 2 times. Wasn't under duress a ton. Had some time on that last drive and some obvious passing situations. Couple screen games worked with some effectiveness. I like the one to DK, which got Charles Cross out, I think, in space. So yeah, I thought the O-line was really solid today, particularly on the edges. I just think they felt the effect of having Charles and Abe together. Just like last year. We felt it last year too.
This next one comes from Chris Hamilton. Can we get another nickname for JSN?
I'm sorry, Chris Hamilton. I kid. Let's roll with. We got to roll with JSN for now. I know in this question, Chris like suggested something that has Jackson's last name in it.
Jackson 6 in Jigba.
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned this on the show before, but if you guys notice, when I tweet out Jackson Smith and Jigba, I always use JSN because in training camp, I almost misspelled his last name in a way that, as a black person, I could get away with that probably. Just, quick delete, just goofed up. I don't even want to have to deal with that. I work for the New York Times now. I'm chilling. Let's just play it safe. JSN works, it's fine. It's safe. We got to go with that. If we do give him a nickname, it can't. I don't want anything to do with his last name. I just can't. It's too tricky. It's got the wrong letters in it. You're just like one typo away from somebody on you. So I don't want that. And like I said, I can get away with that, but I just don't. I don't want to risk it. But if you guys have another nickname that maybe has that that doesn't have his last name involved, maybe we can go with that. But I like JSN. JSN's it's cool. I like it. When JSN is catching passes from Geno, you got the 7-11 thing going. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe there's something way to play on that. I'm not sure. But yeah, if it has to do with his last name, nah. His last name's too risky. I ain't trying to get in trouble, tweeting that out.
This next one comes from @MetalViking13, Big Pete. Why not just go hurry up offense all game?
Oh, that's an easy one. And it's particularly easy when you're talking about playing the Eagles, because if you guys remember, the Eagles at one point employed Chip Kelly. They employed Chip Kelly after he was tearing it up at Oregon, and he had those fast offenses that were scoring a lot of points. You know what happened? He tried to take that stuff to Philly. And you know what happened? His team kept getting quick 3 and outs, and his defense was pissed. Because when you're going that fast and you're not executing, which is natural in the NFL, you're just quickly getting off the field, having no rhythm, and putting your defense in bad spots. That's exactly what happened. They fired that man very quickly, after like 2 years or something. You just can't do that type of stuff. You have to pick and choose when to use tempo and when not. And some of that is determined by whether you can just get that first down. However you get it, whether you get that on first or second, or whether you convert your first, third down, then you can use tempo. And we see the Seahawks do that, but you can't just come out there every drive like, yep, tempo. No. You have to feel out the game. I thought the way they played the third quarter was so perfect because the Eagles, I don't know if it felt like this for you guys watching it at home, but I swear the Eagles had the ball the entire first half. It really felt like they had the ball until the 2-minute warning. It felt like the Eagles had the ball the entire first half. They ran a gazillion plays. And the Seahawks, I thought it was so good on their part to not only have the plan, but to execute it, to flip the script, to be like, all right, let's have us have the ball a lot. Run. Take it slow, methodical, execute. Sometimes you have to do that. And that's the flaw. That's what you can't always just go out there and be like tempo, tempo, tempo. Because what happens when you go incomplete on tempo? You just ran 2 plays in 29 seconds that just got nothing. And then now you're at 3rd and 9 or something, or 3rd and 10, quarterback gets sacked. Boom, you had a drive that took 47 seconds. You just can't do those type of things, you know? As much as I'm like a never kick type of push aggressive dude, I do understand that there's some very important drawbacks to that type of lifestyle, as Chip Kelly learned very fast. So that is why you don't do that. I thought the way they felt out the game was very important. So when you're in a shootout, yeah, you might be just like, we gotta go. Like the Dallas game. This game was not that. This game was a run it, slow, run it, boom, run it, boom. It was nice. So this game is exactly why you don't do that, actually. And it puts your tackles in a bad spot and all that stuff too. But I think you got to really feel the flow of a game. You can't just always be tempo. And this tonight was such a great example of that, particularly against the Eagles.
This next one comes from @P_Joel. Was DK just bad for most of this game and turned it on the last 2 minutes, or is the play calling only scheming him to when it matters?
No, they're always trying to go to DK. I thought, man, look, I don't know if they showed the slow-mo. I mean, they did, because that's probably how I saw it. But because I was looking at the replays on the Jumbotron. I don't know if those are always the same on TV. The fourth down ball that ends up being like a DPI on Bradbury, dog, that is a rope from Drew, and that hits DK in the hands, like smooth in the hand. He dropped that joint. Now he was interfered with, but the ball still hit him clean in the hands. Like they were going to DK, and I like that they were going to him in those critical situations, 3rd down, 4th down. Like that's smart. And again, this game was not a ton of we're going to let it fly. They didn't take many shots. They were like, we're going to run this ball, possess the ball. I actually liked that plan, particularly with the backup quarterback. They should have probably used a little bit more play action, but that's okay. But no, I think the Eagles knew when to give help. They play a lot of shell coverage, like too high stuff, usually putting the safety to DK side. So I think the Seahawks played it right. They took advantage of that and said, oh, you want to have your safety help over there? Cool. Well, that means you're light in this box. And since number 21 can't tackle Ken Walker, we're going to run it right at you. Now, for real, that's Sidney Brown. He had a bad day. Him and Bradbury, long flight back to Philly, man. I feel bad for those guys. But no, I don't. It wasn't the DK just stunk. He had a couple balls hit him in the hands, like that one in the red zone. But they're always trying to get it to him. We don't have time to do a full film review on it, but like we really could spend like an hour just looking at plays with DK's the first read and the ball just doesn't go there. Because that happens. That's football. You can do the same thing watching Minnesota and Justin Jefferson, or the Raiders and Devontae Adams, or the Bengals and Jamar Chase. Sometimes the play is for him and it just doesn't get there for whatever reason, pressure, coverage, whatever. It just happens. But the good thing is, what I thought today stood out is when they needed DK, they needed their guy they're paying $24 million. He showed up. You know, that was I thought was most important.
With this one comes from Miles Matsumoto. With all the great skill players that we have, how did the Seahawks continue to unlock the offense?
Yeah, I think it's the flow thing we were talking about earlier. I think that's really important because you can see how easy it is to get out of whack. Like I think the first drive, the literal first time on offense was a false start.
Yeah,
it's just hard to live like that. Yeah, when you're going backwards to start the game, that's tough. Because then I think they went like a 3-yard dump off to Ken, and then like a run to Ken, and it was like 3 yards. Yeah, because it was 3rd and 9. It's like, look at that. Now you're in 3rd and 9. Your slant falls short. You know, it's hard to get in that rhythm. But when you're getting the rhythm, you can get everyone involved. I think and the yardage wasn't there, but let me see. This was actually pretty interesting. I noticed this at halftime that Drew had thrown the ball to a bazillion people. But look how many people caught a ball today. Let's see. Let me see. DK caught 5. Jackson caught 4. Ken caught 3. Lockett caught 3. Fant caught 3. Disley 2. Parkinson and Bobo all had 1. And then Charbonnet didn't catch a ball, but he was targeted. So, and I think that target hit him in the hands too. So, like that's dang, I was supposed to count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys caught a ball, 9 were targeted. that's spreading the wealth the best you can in a game that was like long drives, not a ton of possessions you had to max out, while also getting the run the game involved. I mean, look at this. Charbonnet and Ken combined for 23 carries for over 100 yards. Like, it's hard. It's when you have that many plays, you want to establish the run, but you also want to get your playmakers involved. But on a day where your two running backs combined for over a hundo and you get 8 different guys catching the ball, I actually think that's pretty encouraging with your backup quarterback too. That's pretty encouraging. I'm okay with if they have more games than not where 5 people touch the ball and through the air, and it's JSN, Tyler, DK, Noah, and Colby. Like if those 5 guys are the only people catching balls the rest of the way, I think that's fine. And then you're running it to Ken and Zach. That's 7 dudes touching the ball. I think that's perfectly okay. But a game like this is probably the best you're going to get in terms of spreading the wealth and being committed to the run. It's hard to do both. So I actually thought they spread it out a lot. You know, I noticed that at halftime when I was looking through stats, I was like, dang, he didn't throw it to everybody. Like this might be the first game, Chris. I'd have to go back. Remind me to go back and look, but this might be the first game where every receiver caught a ball, 4 receivers caught a ball, and 3 tight ends caught a ball. That's tough to do. Yeah, so I thought actually they spread the wealth really well today.
This next one comes from Rosa Maria. 4 straight losses. I can imagine guys are probably down on themselves. How would you assess the vibes in the locker room after their win on Monday night?
Yeah, you could feel. I love this question because it was something when I walked in there, I wanted to try to feel it. I didn't even want to interview nobody right away. I just went in there and I just watched. I was like, how does everyone look right now? And it really, you could almost feel the weight being lifted off their shoulders. It was like a big sigh of relief, you know. Like I think everyone I talked to, my first question to them was, how do you feel right now? I wanted to feel what they were feeling. And guys were just like, I think like Tyler Lockett said, it was simple, but he was just like, man, I feel so good. I'm so glad we won. It's like, because you could feel that in his voice, though. It was just like, man, we needed that. You know, you could feel it. I think DJ Dallas was the same way. I think I talked to Quandre Diggs after, talked to a couple other guys that wasn't recorded. That just all felt the same way. They're just like, we needed that. I'm so glad we got that. Like it just reinforced everything they knew. They knew who they were, or at least they knew who they wanted to be, but they hadn't proved it yet. Now they proved it. Yeah, it really felt like it felt just like not necessarily that everything had totally changed, but there was a couple of guys who were like, yo, this is going to be our turning point. This is it right here. We're about to make a turn right here. You know, after that win, it was huge. Got the guys kept it in perspective, which I thought was important. I think even Quandre was like, yeah, we got the win. We're going to celebrate this tonight. And then we locked in on the Titans as they need to be because they're on a short week, traveling on a holiday weekend, everything. But man, it really felt like they knew. You could almost feel someone physically lifting a weight off of everyone's back, like one by one at each locker. That's how it felt in there because they knew, just like y'all know, 5 straight was gonna be bad. 5 straight was gonna be that would have made for the nastiest locker room, I think. Unprecedented nastiness because this franchise just hasn't seen that with Pete Carroll, and he's been here 14 years or something. So I couldn't even imagine how bad it would have been, but we didn't get that. We got the best version of it, which was a rap music blaring, half naked guys dancing, dapping up, just a great locker room vibe because they knew they just could breathe now. They got the win, so now everything could like turn around. They could make that 180 they needed to down the stretch.
Yeah, at P. Joel again, he has a follow-up question on the defensive side. Did we just witness Julian Love taking Jamal's job for good?
That's a fair question because it does. I know some people felt like Jamal got benched just flat out. He did not get benched just flat out. His knee really is not in a good place. And that's not even breaking no news. Y'all watching the games. I can see his knee. Jamal, he doesn't have the explosiveness that Jamal usually has. We had a play in our standout plays from week 14 where we show Chris talked about it on our post game from the Niners game, and then we had it in our standout plays. We got Jamal running full speed at George Kittle. He meets George Kittle and goes nowhere. George Kittle is a very strong tight end. He can block really well. We've seen him pancake dudes. We've also seen Jamal bench press tight ends and get to the quarterback. Like we've seen him do that. it does not look like he has the same explosiveness to do that. And it's very easy to see. So I can see why they sat him down and was like, bro, just try to get that knee right. I don't know if they showed Jamal on TV on the sidelines. I didn't see him. I don't know where he was, but it makes sense why they sat him. But Jamal and Julian play together. They do that big safety, big nickel thing, together. Like if Jamal was healthy today and Spoon wasn't, Jamal would have played the whole game at nickel instead of Artie Burns. Right? They would just put Jamal down there. So I don't think we'll fully like, oh, hey, yep, Julian played well a couple games. 4 turnovers for Julian Love in 2 games, by the way. He's on it. But I don't think that's enough to be like, all right, Jamal, hit the road. I think if anything, you let those guys have an open competition in practice or something and see if, let the best man win. But no, I don't think he'll take the job for good. What I do think this maybe signals is if Jamal's knee is not right, they won't rush it or force it. Not to say they would have done that anyway, but if Julian had came out there and just played like crap, they're human. Maybe it sinks in like, hey, Mal, take this little Toradol shot and get you back out here in Tennessee, my boy. We need you. But now they can be like, hey, man, if your knee not right, stay at the crib. Merry Christmas. We'll see you when we get back. They're kind of afforded that luxury, I think, because of the way Julian is playing. I think in the short term, that is the way to look at it. I don't think you got a long term be like, if Julian plays well, bye-bye, Jamal. Nah, it's not like that. Because I do think if Jamal's knee can get right, I don't know if an extra week or whatever will help. He can contribute. Particularly if you just leave him near the line. Because Jamal still leads the team, I think, in tackles for loss. So it's not like he's a scrub. He's making plays. But as you can see, like in space and running and having this the explosion that he needs on these blitzes, that part's not totally there. So hopefully that maybe an extra week can do it. But I think Julian Love he might have just did what Chenna did last year and just earned himself a little extension on that 2-year deal in the offseason, if anything. But no, I don't think that this just means Jamal will be benched. But it helps Julian Love, helps Jamal if they need more time. And one last thing it does is it really, really helps Clint Hurtt because their defense is so much better when you can sometimes put Julian back there as the post safety and move Quandre down. Chris, did they show the slow-mo of who was it? It was like one of the first third downs. Quandre just cracks Dallas Goedert earlier in the game. They showed that.
Yep.
That was a product of Julian playing deep, Quandre near the line, because you got to be able to interchange those safeties. If it's always Quandre in the back, your defense is more predictable. It doesn't allow Quandre to make as many plays. But when you can trust Love back there, then it just opens up so much more stuff. They were able to run single high on the final drive. I would have never done that. But what did it do? It worked out. So yeah, I think that's Julian did a lot of things, a lot of ripple effects to him having a good game. But I don't think it's just as simple as, all right, he played well. Now we're just never going to play Jamal again.
This next one comes from Tony K. Do you like the addition so far compared to what other teams got regarding Leonard Williams? Also, do you see the Seahawks re-signing him in the offseason, and what could that contract look like?
I don't know. I don't really want to dive into numbers too much. It's probably, I would guess, something north of whatever Tyler and Jamal make. I think they're both at about 17 mil. Probably have to be around that range. Probably, yeah, whatever Draymond Jones makes, I think is also 17 mil. That's probably the baseline. I would just say that as the floor. Compared to what other teams got at the deadline, let's go through this real quick, Chris. Who got people? So you got Chase Young, I know went to the Niners. And then the Seahawks got Leonard Williams. I feel like there's another one in there. Who was the other big deadline deal?
Sweat, was it?
Sweat. Yep, Montez. Yeah. No. Yeah. Montez Sweat went to the Bears. Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
Ooh, that's the best one. Because I don't know if you guys know how much Bears defense. The Bears defense is hooping right now. Those guys are
I watched
really, really
I watched Nate Tice break it down. They're flipping things around, but go ahead.
Oh, did? Yeah, shout out to Nate.
Yeah.
He does good work with Robert Mays over there on the Athletic Football Show. I don't have all their numbers in front of me, but the Bears defensive splits like pre-Montez Sweat and post Montez Sweat acquisition, no, they're real. They got like the best run defense in the league. Montez is getting to the quarterback. They probably should have beat the Browns on Sunday. Like, no, they're playing really solid ball. Shoot, they basically got Josh Dobbs benched. Didn't he play like crap against them on Monday Night Football before the bye week? He threw like 4 picks or something. I think it was like it was awful. Yeah, no, the Bears are winning so far with the deadline deals. I would say the Leonard Williams deal is right after that, ahead of the Chase Young, like in terms of trade right now. Chase has been like fine for the Niners, but having watched him twice now live and multiple times on film, Chase isn't really popping that much. Like I don't watch him. I think he's number 92. I don't watch their film and be like, ooh, 92. He cold. Not really. Now when I watch the Seahawks film, I do be like, hey, 99. Yo. Like he's solid, man. That's a solid dude. Even if it wasn't a splash play, the way he Leonard chased Jalen on that final 3rd and 7, I thought that was huge there. That was huge to just kind of set the angle to make Jalen have to cut back to everyone. I thought that was great. It was great awareness, great hustle. On top of having a TFL today, I think he has some other run stops that were nice. So yeah, I think the Seahawks are in good shape. They made the right decision with Leonard over Chase. Maybe not Leonard over Montez, but either way, I think it looks pretty good right now, at least in terms of him producing. The whole defense hasn't changed because he got Leonard, but he is playing really solid. So yeah, and I do think they'll end up having to re-sign him in the offseason. And yeah, I would say Draymond Jones' deal is probably like the floor for Leonard.
This one comes from Lil Mama. Why does the defense struggle on 3rd down? Is it aggressive play calling or players not able to make a play on the football?
Yeah, I think today is not totally indicative of like today may not be the best example because I don't know how many of those 3rd and shorts were tush pushes. And you kind of got to throw those out of the set. No one can stop that play, by the way. It's like the best play in football. The tush push is incredible. It's like unbelievable. Like I'm watching Bobby Wagner jump on the pile, making a great Troy Polamalu type play, and then Jalen just taking him for a ride. Like that. Come on, what else can you do to stop the tush push? It's incredible. So I don't know how many of the 3rd downs today were those. I think at least like 3. So when you have those, it kind of throws things off a little bit. But actually, I can probably see how many exactly there were while we go through this. But in addition to those, I really think the biggest issue they're having is pass rush. You're just not seeing. Did they even sack Jalen today?
No,
I don't. Yeah,
they didn't.
There you go. You got to get to the quarterback. We haven't heard from. I know Boye had a pass batted down today, but like since he had a sack in the Commanders game, haven't really heard from him since. They're getting nothing off the edge from D Hall, nothing off the edge from Frank. Plays here and there off the edge from Draymond Jones, but that's it right there. They're just not. And I'm singling out the edge groups. I actually think Jay Reed and Leonard are actually playing really well on the interior. They're the ones getting all the sacks for this team. It's the edge. You're just getting nothing on the edge. And I think that's the biggest problem on 3rd. You got to collapse that pocket. Make those guys have to throw the ball just a tick earlier. It's just they're not because guys are covering fairly well, but they can't cover forever. It's tough. So I think that's the biggest problem on 3rd down. And I don't know what their 3rd down pass rush numbers are, but they're probably terrible. Because they're not getting any pressure. Yeah, no sacks on Jalen today. That's you can't have that. Not on any down, they didn't get him no sack, not just 3rd down. So yeah, when I look at these guys, I gotta watch the film, but I bet you that's gonna stand out. And away from the tush pushes, it's probably gonna be, dang man, y'all ain't get to Jalen, huh? That's crazy.
This next one comes from Jome253. How difficult is it to determine if the Seahawks team is an upstart contender in the making versus the same old with Pete Carroll not making progress?
That is a good question. And it looks like 2 of their plays today. 3 of their 3rd downs were tush pushes. One of them was the one where they handed the ball to DeAndre Swift. But either way, there was 3 of their tush pushes. So they were 9 of 16. 3 of those were tush pushes. So without those, you got 6 of 13. Which is still, it's not a number that Seattle would like. So just to quantify that, I said I would look it up for you guys. Yeah, I think you look situationally when you're assessing teams, to me. That's usually where I go to. when I'm like, all right, are you real deal or are you not? Like, one way to tell the Eagles are really fraud is because they're really bad on third down defensively. Um, and I don't believe they're a good red zone defense either. That's pretty fraud. It's a huge red flag. The Seahawks are also pretty bad at those two areas as well. The Eagles they've had a little bit better luck finishing some of their games, at least prior to this 3-game losing streak that they're on. But that's another thing to look at. How good are you in second halves? How good are you in the fourth quarter? How good are you in the red zone? How good are you on third down? All of these things are usually what I look at when I'm like, are you real or are you not? Like, when you forget the scores for a second, point differential, which, we love that on this show. You watch the Niners, you look at the Niners on third down, teams can't convert, and Brock Purdy is cash. And then Nick Bosa just rips your quarterback's head off on third down. Like, that's how I know they're legit. Dallas is in that same realm, though Dallas is just not as consistent because they can have games where they blow teams out, and then they can have what happened in Buffalo. They look like a JV team. But yeah, the good teams tend to be pretty consistent there. I don't know what the Ravens' third down conversion rate is on offense, but I know their defense gives people fits. So like the situational stuff is big for me. And because the Seahawks, even this game included, are just not like consistent enough in those situations, I think that they lean more towards like a frisky kind of fun, can be competitive if things break right their way team versus being a contender. I think the contenders are really like, when it's go time, when it's 3rd and 7 and you need a bucket, or it's 3rd and 7 and you need to get off the field, or it's a big red zone play, or you executing in the fourth quarter or 2-minute, or your pass rush is just ripping it, on obvious passing downs. Those are the contenders to me. And the Seahawks, while they are a fun team, a 500 team, a competitive team, to be a contender, I think you got to be way more consistent and way more dominant situationally, particularly up front. If you can't rush the passer, I'm never going to believe you can do anything. It's just too hard. These quarterbacks are too good. There's too many rules that benefit the offense. If you can't get to the quarterback, your team will eventually head to Cancun. Maybe that's after week 18. Maybe that's after the wild card round. Maybe that's after the divisional round. Either way, the tickets to Cancun will be booked by your team if you cannot rush the passer. That's like the first thing I look at.
This next one comes from Ryan Turner at Turns44. There were some obvious lineup changes on the defense. I coined it as the guys who want it instead of the guys who have it. How big of a coaching challenge do you feel that has been on the staff?
Yeah, it's probably been very frustrating on the staff's part. Let's look at the defense and just like who they've had available, right? So you go through camp, you think you'll have Jordan, but you don't know whether you'll have like Jordan. You don't know how well he's going to be after the knee, right? You don't really know when you're going to have Jamal. You think it'll be week 4, but then it's like, okay, what version of Jamal are we getting? He didn't get a ton of spoon in camp 2. He sat for a little bit. Then so you finally, and then Trey Brown gets hurt, and then Tariq Woolen gets hurt. So you got this weird thing going on in the secondary there that you got to figure out. And then you finally get it going, right? Starting like the Bengals game, you're like, ooh, they locked in. They're doing it. And then I think week 7 is when Chenna gets hurt. Well, it's like, well, damn. Lost our best edge rusher. Boy, it's good, but we just lost our best guy. All right, well, okay, cool. We'll trade for Leonard Williams or something like that. Big move. And then it just doesn't – you're still not getting nothing on the edge. Then you get Reek with the shoulder thing and the tackling thing, and then it's like, oh, man. And then now Jamal's knee is just not right, so he's clearly not right. But it's like you don't want to sit him. It probably is pretty tough. They were already doing a game of musical chairs in the secondary that we weren't a big fan of on here. We like continuity more than just like rotating everybody. It can work, but I'd rather you just have your guys. So you don't know whether your guys can practice. You got guys who need like their knees to be managed, their other issues to be managed. You got Reek not having the same season that he had last year, and then you got Maul's knee, and you lose Chenna, and it's like, dog, what do we do? Pick up Frank Clark, but then we got to make Frank inactive a couple times to get the quarterbacks up. It's just a lot. So I imagine, yeah, that is pretty frustrating. I think they've done a decent job weathering it. Again, I'm not totally for the rotating in-game stuff. I don't know how much they talked about that on the broadcast, but not a big fan of it over here. But yeah, that's got to stink, man. That's got to stink because when everyone's healthy, it's already hard enough to figure out who to play and when to play them. And you got Kobe Bryant coming back in the mix. Then you got Artie Burns coming in there playing well. But then you're trying to figure out your pass rush thing. You lose Chenna. So now you got to have Draymond Jones play on the edge at like 280 pounds, which is pretty heavy for like an edge guy. It's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. They should be playing better regardless. But yeah, I can see how that is a tough thing to navigate. Which is why it was really encouraging, I think, that they played so well today, quote unquote, shorthanded without. Oh, yeah, because then Spoon gets hurt. Spoon had probably been their best guy, on defense. Probably only Pro Bowl guy who's having like a Pro Bowl caliber season, and then he gets hurt. Just tough to work with. Other teams are dealing with that too, so I don't want to sound like I'm making a huge excuse, but yes, because we got asked about it, that has definitely been tough for them to work with. It's made it frustrating. It's made closing these games frustrating. Not having the pass rush particularly frustrating. Having all these penalties, that's the other thing. Then they're getting all these penalties. The Rams game, the Cowboys game is just a total mess. That's another reason why today was such a big sigh of relief, because the defense is like, yes, we didn't have stupid penalties and we got off the field. Let's do that every week.
This last one comes from Michael at McNewhouse. What music was playing in the locker room tonight?
Good question. I don't have it all documented. They were playing a Vince Staples record that I don't recognize. It was like dum 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 dum. That's like the beat. That's like the vibe. I just can't. I want to say it's a really popular Vince song. It's just, but I'm not. I know we're not like Kristen listen to Vince, so he's not able to help. I don't listen to Vince much either. I think he's a funny guy, but I listen to him rap really. I want to say it's called maybe North or something like that. It's gonna bug me. You don't know that one?
I don't.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, I couldn't name one Vince Staples song with a gun to my head. Guess I'm getting my brain blown. Oh yeah.
Oh man, he's cool. Vince can rap.
He looks like a cool guy, but the music just doesn't. I just haven't been like, you know what? Let me put some Vince Staples on.
Yeah, and I'm really not that way either. The only reason that I even peeped a couple of his records is because I saw some interviews from him. He's like, oh, this guy's hilarious. Let me see if I would actually like his music. And then I was like, nah, not really. Funny cat though. The first song that was playing when I walked in was "Humble" by Kendrick, which is that's a great.
I know that one.
Just one song. Yeah, that was a cool one. I love that. That's playing in I remember that playing. I remember hearing it, but I also remember when I went back and listened to a lot of my audio from the locker room, I could hear that playing in the background too. There's another song playing when I'm interviewing Quandre. I just can't hear. I can't tell what the song is. I have my recorder so close to his mouth so I could hear. But yeah, the Kendrick one was the first one playing. But otherwise, it was just trap music, jamming. Such good vibes in there. Such good vibes. Pete Carroll was up there he was like, yeah, I can talk all day. What y'all got? He was hyped, man. He was hyped up there. I missed his press. I came right at the end. And then when Pete Carroll leaves his press conference, he hollers something from the hallway. He was just super fired up. So yeah, they was in there jamming. Guys weren't in there lingering too long. They was trying to get to their families, it's night game and everything. But yeah, Kendrick stood out. Normal trap stuff. It was the first time I heard Vince. That's gonna bug me so much. I'm gonna Shazam that joint or something when we get off of here. But yeah, because that Vince joint was rocking. It's a cool song. I just can't think of the name of it. It's gonna bug me. But yeah, it was the track list for tonight on a really good night for the Seahawks, man. Beautiful win. They needed that bad. Boy, did they need that.
They needed it so bad. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in, watching, however you joined us on Tuesday morning, Wednesday, wherever it is that you tapped in with the pod. But we appreciate all the love and support. I'm going to be on vacation, so I guess we will probably skip the plays of the week and come back with our Christmas day. Hang on, Christmas Eve is on.
No, we can do plays of the week. Yeah, Christmas Eve's on Sunday.
Well, I won't be back till Saturday.
Oh, that's why. That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're going to LA.
I'm going to the Rams and Saints game. Big game for the Seahawks. I don't care, but
that's right.
I'll be at that game in LA. It's supposed to be raining, so it'll be 55, 60 degrees. So I guess escape rain, just get it some more. So it's all good. But we'll come back with a hopefully the Seahawks handle business against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, Derrick Henry went off last time the Seahawks played him. He started off slow, and then the second half decided to just take over. King Henry, as they call him. So, again, we want to thank you guys for tapping in and showing love and support. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
So I just muted myself and listened to a snippet of what I think is I think it's North. I want to say. I think that was the record. I really wanted to get that right. I wasn't gonna sleep well at night if I didn't
Could tell.
give you guys.
You did that immediately.
Because I'm big on like knowing what a song's called. Or you ever like watch a movie and just like, dog, where have I seen this actor from? I know this cat. I just can't remember what movie. That type of stuff bugged me. I have to figure it out right away. So I think it was North playing in there. But aside from that, thank you for the love and support. I forgot Chris is traveling. That's going to throw us off a little bit. That's fine. Because we also got Christmas coming up as well the day after the game. And I'm flying back on Christmas. Yeah, no, it's a whole lot. But it's a day game on Christmas Eve.
It's a 10 a.m. game. My time, 10 a.m., 1 o'clock. We should be good.
Yeah, we should be able to record Saturday night. Anyway, we'll figure out the schedule. Y'all don't need to hear us hash this out. Thank you for the love and support on Spotify, Blue Wire, Apple, wherever you're getting it, YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. Thank you so much for tapping in. Hope you guys have a great week. If you don't hear from us before the holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, however you get down. We will catch you guys next week. Peace.